Hey guys, Dylan from the Geek Duo here, and today I'll be bringing you my reaction to My Hero Academia Vigilantes Season 1, Episode 12, titled Goodbye to Dad. There's trouble when the power goes out at Narrowfest, all while Knuckle Duster fights a very personal battle. Now, as I said at the end of the last episode, with the revelations that we were given in that episode, I'm a little worried about what the title of this episode could mean. Because while I don't think that Knuckle Duster's going to die, considering, as I've said, I know things about his backstory, and why would we be getting his backstory if he's no longer a part of it? That doesn't give the same plot armor to his daughter, who is currently possessed. Hell, with the state that the Queen Bee quirk, I guess, left her friend in, it could very well be that she's going to slip into the same vegetative state afterwards. You know, I've just had an idea. What if his wife was the host? It's not that she was stung and sent into that stupor by their daughter. What if she was the host and then it jumped to the daughter? No, because then that wouldn't really explain the parents that she's been living with. So, who knows? We're probably going to get an explanation either in this episode or the next one. So, let's get this started in 3, 2, 1, go. Hmm. Not gonna mention that the villain you encountered was the source of the blackout. You know, I've been saying for the past few episodes that this opening has something about Knuckle Duster's backstory that they don't have time to introduce. What if they're introduced through his daughter? Like, I don't know how the Queen Bee works in terms of like assimilating its host's memories and that, because obviously there's a drastic personality change. But yes, so what if she reveals the thing, or at least reveals a link to? Also, we know that Popstep uses her quirk in her performances. Do any of the others have any useful? how how must it feel to be able to boss around such a powerful hero. Cool. So everyone here knows who you are now, including Mike and Midnight. Uh, Never would I have thought to equate Koichi and Mike. Yeah, if your wife's in the hospital and there's been a blackout, he really likes landing in trap. Hmm. Probably shouldn't have said that into the microphone. Of course, fucking. The question is, how long can he keep that beam going? Interesting. Is Koichi gonna put two and two together? That's too late. Ooh, extracting. What happens if she gets injected with Trigger? Ooh, she's getting multiple doses. So he wasn't a good dad. Hmm. Interesting. So not only not only was she extracting the trigger, she was taking some of the quirk factor. Interesting. So not only is her quirk um Girin? As I was saying, not only is the quirk boosted by trigger, that implies there's been some, I'm gonna say it, there's been some Yujiko tampering with it. The ability to take at least part of the quirk. So he got his stun guns from Girine. I really thought one of those cockroaches was gonna trigger it and it'll shock him like the rat from Endgame, but Honestly, this sounds a lot better than the one they had online. Well, that ended up going really well. Hmm. No, I think he's realized, losing his daughter, that he was not a good dad. So he actually wants to support his daughter. Oh, he's catching her in a hug, isn't he? Maybe not. And I really thought that was a pesticide sprayer. Hmm, pretty smart. What do you mean by some hearts? Who else were you planning on using it on? I don't like the amount of blood that was under her head. Hmm, there's the Aizawa we know. That was surprisingly good. I feel like I haven't really spoken this much, but I have been talking. Hmm, interesting. And no one noticed that. So, one of the bees survived, and provided they have some of the. What is it? Is it nectar or honey that. Like, no, royal honey or royal jelly? The thing that can turn drones into queens. I'm not very familiar with aphid biology and the line of succession in bees, but yeah, provided they have some of whatever turned the queen bee into the queen bee, then that quirk's not dead. Okay, that is an issue. We were left in the dark about whether um Knuckle Duster's saved his daughter or not. Like, that concerns me because we saw how messed up he was at the start of this season. And yeah, we find out why is that his daughter is possessed by this parasitic quirk and is the one behind all of these attacks. And so he goes to the extreme to take out the quirk, which he fails at. Um and he sends a lethal amount of electricity into his daughter's body, and he's left trying to revive her, which didn't seem to be going that well. And the fact that he promised the hospital that the whole family was going to be there, if that was somehow related to his wife and she was in a somewhat cognizant state, him showing up without their daughter, or him showing up with their daughter in critical condition, may not go over well. Um, hmm. Uh, I just googled. A queen bee is developed from a fertilized egg or young larva that is fed a diet of royal jelly, a special secretion produced by worker bees. So, this elusive diet, combined with the unique queen cell structure, triggers the development of a queen bee instead of a worker bee. So, that drone that he captured would not be able to become a queen in and of itself. However, if it was able to produce more larvae, and then they were fed whatever the quirk's equivalent of royal jelly is, then yeah, it could very well be the quirk comes back, which is a little bit of an issue with how much damage that one quirk did. Though it is interesting to think that at least now they're on the case of it. Like Knuckle Duster, he thinks he's dealt with it, but Tsukauchi and Aizawa, they're now aware of the testimonies, the pattern now of bees being cited at incidents related to these instant villains. And then, yeah, so it could very well be that should the quirk arise again, they can like counteract it more effectively. Plus, if Knuckle Duster were able to get in touch with, with them and like willingly share the information, possibly, I don't know, about telling them who the previous user was. Like with those two, I trust them with the information, but that's because I know them from the main story, which is also set a few years after this. So, but as we saw with Aizawa in this, he let the eel kid stay there and listen to the end of Pop Step's performance because he found out that he liked Pop. So, like, the goodness of Aizawa is in there, even back here. So, yeah, I feel like if it came down to it, sharing with him the knowledge that, hey, the previous user was Knuckle Duster's daughter would not land her in too much hot water, especially if he explains the parasitic nature of it and everything. I don't know how much information there is going to be shared between the two. But yeah. That I want to know. So I really want to know exactly how the quirk works. It is very fascinating. Like the queen bee latches onto a host's brain, removes the eyeball because the two hosts we've seen have each been missing the same eyeball, by the way, then builds a hive inside the host's skull, sends out its drones and everything. These drones are able to be augmented by chemicals that aren't produced naturally in the human body. Like, if it was able to synthesize, can't say the word, synthetically make chemicals using elements that are commonly found within the brain, like the secretions and that all the different, like dopamine, oxytocin, um, all of those. Synth- turn those into something else, then that would be fine. But Trigger likely is not made of elements found in the human body. There's also the fact that how does a bee get an injector as its stinger? Like, they'd have to have been augmented outside of the body and then returned to the hive. And the fact that they have multiple functions sort of strengthens this. And so I wasn't going to mention this because it is a spoiler. However, it was spoiled through the nature of having to have voice actors. So, back in episode 3, I'm assuming it's that because that's the one titled B. We hear Knuckle Dust. Well, we hear Queen Bee on the phone to someone, and he is talking to them about the instant villain attacks and that. So we actually hear the voice, and it is the same voice actor who does All for One. And, well, it is revealed later on in the story, or so I've been told, that she is working for All for One. So, the one who was likely behind the augmentation of her drones, especially to the point where they were able to extract some of the quirk factor of the eel kid and then inject it into her, that is very Ujiko. Ujiko. I had the wrong syllable there. Yeah, that is very Ujiko. So, and yeah, so it's interesting that they would have access to such a powerful quirk. Like, obviously, All for One does not want this quirk. Like, one, I don't even know how he would take it. Like, he'd have to take it from the Queen itself. Like, he wouldn't be able to take it from just the host. But given the parasitic nature of it, he would not want that. He'd supplant it into someone and control them as much as he could. Like, can't say that. I cannot say that because that is okay. That is one of the few things I know from further on. I was about to get into heavy spoiler territory, so I'm going to stop it there. We know that he was involved because we heard the voice actor. I said in the episode, that sounds like, and then cut myself off. But yeah, so obviously they had a hand in the being able to extract the electricity from the eel kid. Um, it's interesting that we still have one more episode in this season. Like, that could very well have been the end of the season. Like, the main antagonist is dealt with, the big event that we've been building up to is done. Um, they've set up this cryptic stinger of another mystery character who's captured a part of the previous villain and just walked off because no one was able to see him with how quick he moved. Like that is that is a very good spot to end the season. So I don't know what the next episode's going to have. But the character that we saw at the end of the episode, if you've paid attention to things from earlier in this season, that is how cryptic I'm going to be about it. You would have seen hints at this character. Or more, you would have seen hints at the specific marking that he had on his face. And that is where I'm going to leave that. I do need to just make sure that I said the right thing. Hang on. Yeah. In fact, I wonder. This is something of my pure curiosity. Like, MHA redacted. Interesting. Very interesting. Let's see. If I type in that. Hmm. I'm not seeing anything related to that, so eh. Okay, that was just my brain going somewhere that didn't turn out to be correct. Um, but anyway, I'm gonna end this one here. Very interested to see what the final episode's going to have, which I'm finishing this season this week. I'm finishing off all of the shows that I've started and then left right at the end of the season. Because I've fallen behind on content and I don't want to start new stuff while I have old stuff right at the end. So, yeah, today you're getting this. Tomorrow it's going to be the final episode of Daredevil. The day after it's going to be the final episode of Creature Commandos. Day after that it's going to be the final episode of this. So, yeah, it's coming out on Saturday for me. But anyway, like I said, with that I'm going to end this. So I'll catch you in the next one.